Moose Watch! Good morning, afternoon, and evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back. It's been a little bit of a while since we've covered anything hockey related. It's kind of been on a week-to-week basis. However, fear not, in the upcoming week, the Winnipeg Jets are going to be involved in the Young Stars Classic. And finally, I will be able to cover Winnipeg Jets games. As you can tell, I'm a little bit sick. But let's get to today's news. Today's news broke yesterday that Thomas Caron, a former member of the Manitoba Moose, has signed in the ECHL with the Idaho Steelheads. He is a bottom six AHL forward. He's obviously signing in the ECHL because between his 3 seasons with the Manitoba Moose, that is where he spent the majority of his time. In his first season in 2021, he actually had a pretty long stint with the Moose, but he only tallied 6 points. In the following 2 seasons, he combined for 4 points, but mainly sat in the ECHL with the Trois-Rivières Lions and the Norfolk Admirals, respectively. On the Admirals, he was actually decent. He had 19 points in 45 games. A guy who I think has a bit of grit to his game, but I don't think it defines his game. His penalty minutes went skyrocketed up last year, up to 77 penalty minutes, which is a lot for a player when you really start to break down how, like 2 minutes, 5 minutes, 2 minutes, 2 minutes, 5 minutes, 5 minutes, like that's a lot. It's not ideal, however, it definitely shows diversity to their play style. That means that they can adapt even when the situation goes sideways, so to speak. I think this transaction more or less confirms what we've already known. The Manitoba Moose this year, I think, are going to be primarily prospect-led. In the past, you've seen they kind of bring in a lot more players, a lot more meaningful contracts to play high-value minutes so that not necessarily it's the onus is not necessarily on the prospects to get results. I think this year it's going to be almost primarily on the prospects. There's a couple guys where you look at like a Mason Shaw or Jarrett Anderson-Dolan where you're like, yeah, those guys aren't necessarily prospects and they will probably have decent roles on the Manitoba Moose. But if you look at the goaltending, the defense, and the offense, I think you see a primary focus on prospects. And I'm okay with that. It doesn't always mean that they're going to play the best hockey, but I think it's a good way to really throw some of them into the fire and say, this is your time to prove that you are more than just an AHL player. This is your time to make an impact for prospects, and I'm excited to see that. Thank you all so much for tuning in. Tonight or tomorrow morning, we are going to have Carter will be back with the Banjo Bowl game reaction. Be sure to check that out. And I, as I mentioned earlier, will be back with Winnipeg Jets content when Cole Perfetti signs or when the Young Stars Classic gets underway, which, by the way, Thomas Caron actually was at last year's Young Stars Classic. So, they're going to have a lot of great prospects in that. I highly recommend checking it out. I hope they post it on YouTube like they did last year. That was awesome. But yes, thanks so much for watching. Have a wonderful day, everybody. Go Jets, go. And we will see you next time.
One, Nikolai Ehlers chips it through, gets around, and he shoots and scores! What a goal from Nikolai Ehlers!